Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everyone? Um, it's your boy, Kevin Smith. I'm back. It has been a while since I've done this, and it seems like I come in and then I come back out. But God laid on my heart to do this series in six parts. And I had to do it in six parts because I felt like I needed to get different perspectives when it came to the matter of men's mental health. And so we're going to dive deep. I'm excited about the guests that I'm going to have on my show. I'm excited about um, those who are going to really speak from the heart. I got some good guests. Some of them have been on my show in previous times, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But before I bring my guest out, again, I want to say thank you all for who have supported me over the years for doing first Coffee and Conversation with Kevin Smith. And of course, I changed it to Conversations with Kev. But I thank you all for continuing to rock with me, continue to show your support. So I ask that you share, that you know, take this in, you share with another male, you share with somebody that can, benefit from this series. Again, this is a six part. This is just part one. So hopefully, I pray that you tune in and share. And even if you go back and watch it, I definitely appreciate that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring my brother. And before he introduces himself, I gotta say this. Now, I've known Kevin Jackson since 2016.
Hmm.
So it's been almost 10 years I've known this guy. We actually went to the same church, and we met through working with the students at our church. And
Hmm.
we actually went through, well, he went through, we were going through ministry school together, and we actually went through graduation together. So, and he has been a great friend, a great brother to me. I always say that he is a therapist to me, um, and he always, continues to write an IOU because I couldn't afford him in real life, but he has definitely been um, a great
Oh man.
therapist, a great therapist for me. So without further ado, I'll let Kevin Jackson introduce himself, and we will get started. Go ahead, KJ.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Hoping everybody is okay, especially in these times that we're in. Man, Kevin, thank you for having me on. As when I came up on the screen, I saw Kevin and Kevin, and then I'm like, boy, I forget your name is Kevin half the time, man. I'm like, man, I can't be saying Kevin, my own name. So I'm like, man, I might call you a nickname or something. So I'm just, hey, Kev, refer to you as that. Matter of fact, I should have wrote that on my sign in, but I'm glad to be here, man. And like you said on the IOUs, you owe me a bunch. You owe me a bunch of IOUs. You owe me a bunch of. Well, you owe me a few birthday celebrations too, because you missed my birthday last birthday, and I don't even know if you actually even came in my birthdays. Why do I think about it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, you owe me for sure. But man, I mean, what can I say about? I don't like to talk about myself. Is that like a rule that you have to? I mean, I just tell people, listen, I'm a purpose driven guy. I want to fulfill, a matter of fact, I desire to fulfill God's plan and purpose for my life. And I get to do it through sports. I get to do it at coaching basketball, that is. But I also get to do it through ministry school and slash, uh, ministry in general as a pastor. So, and an entrepreneur and a podcaster, published author. So all of those different platforms, I get to do the Lord's will. So that's me, man.
All right. Yeah, and I appreciate you. Appreciate what you just continue to do. And so we're gonna get started. And I want you, just we gonna roll and we're gonna just talk it out. So, um, mental health. What? So first, um, let's talk about what does mental health mean when it comes to you. What does mental health mean to you?
Well, I tell you what it means is when logic, appropriate logic, can be formed mentally about every situation. Those logics expand over what's reality, even what's not, because you got to differentiate between the two. You know, joyful in a sense of how you see things and how you can find a solution. But I tell you what, it's not. It's definitely not any of those things that I just said that they were, but it's not a healthy thing to be in a place of, not good mental health in the sense of, you're never joyful. Logic is not there on any side, especially with reality of what things are, let alone. I spoke to a team about this the other day. We were talking about communication, and I was teaching on communication. And one of the things that I told them, we were talking about when you are a sender of a message and the person who you're talking to is receiving, how do you have dialogue? Well, there's nonverbal and verbal, but you also can have dialogue in your mind. And we was talking about like how a person who's sending the message, you could send it in ways like, someone could be like, man, your tone is this or that, or you could be soft, you could be sweet, whatever. But I was telling the people, I was like, hey, I want to challenge y'all. What about having a tone in your head? That is a thing. You can have a tone in your head. And then obviously if that tone is not nothing of good substance, then hey, there's an unhealthy mental state of being, right? So, you want a healthy tone because sometimes I could be saying something very, very sweet, but because you already got a tone in your head, especially if me and you got beef and I'm sitting here trying to apologize, then that ain't gonna work out well. So as Kevin could attest to with him and I's relationship, not that we have beef, but sometimes when I'm talking to him, he has a tone in his head already.
That is a true statement. That is a true statement.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you talk about you said dialogue in the mind, that's very interesting. Can you elaborate more on that? Because I, I think it can be interpreted in so many different ways, but
Mhm.
I know for me, I'm always like people always tell me I'm thinking too much into something. I mean,
Mhm.
and you know this about me. Uh, I'm thinking too deep into something. So
Oh, but
can
he's
can
quick
can
too.
yeah can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, no. So, like for example, what I was just talking about, having a tone, in your mind, like a tone of negativity, for example, like instead of hearing the words for what they are, because, for example, I'll just take you and I, for example, just for the example, right? There have been times, and probably if you reflect, right, all the times, you call or we'll just be face to face and you asking me for my advice on something. Sometimes your mind already made up on the situation. So the advice that I'm giving, in a good tone, good healthy tone, good sweet tone, sweet honeycomb tone, is not coming into your brain as being received in that way because you already got a tone of, man, listen, probably more than likely, which Well, you kind of said this without using the words to me before, but I just want you to shut up so I can say what I gotta say. Because I'm gonna do what's in my head already. You know what I'm saying? So that's having a tone already. But you like, so you're hearing the words, but you're not listening, and you can throw away active listening, right? Which is not healthy. Is not a healthy state of mind to be in. You know what I mean? So instead of being like, well, Kev, I'm gonna take what your words are for what they are, and I'm gonna dive into this uh perspective. You know what I mean? That way I won't find a solution to what I'm feeling in this moment or what I'm going through. Right? That's a healthier way and a healthier tone to have in your brain.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to mental health, so I pulled up some information, and um I wanted to definitely um I definitely wanted to pull this information up because of the fact that um again, so let me just give a background, so people would kind of know the if people don't know, they would know like what the type of things that I do, and who I am as a person, when it comes to mental health. So I have and I'll tell my story. When I went through a lot growing up, and um, went was in the military, in the Air Force, and then from there, I got out, medically retired, and when I moved here to Dallas, Texas, um, is when my mental health journey really began. I was going through mental health stuff, but it really began here because my
Mhm.
mom passed 2 weeks after I moved here. And then right after that, the next year, my great aunt who raised my mom, we stayed in her house. She passed. Then the next year, my dad got diagnosed with cancer, stage 4, and then the next year he passed. And all of that, year after year, got me to a point to where I literally went into a mental health depression, and I felt like I couldn't come out of it. And so I was able to, um, I was able to do what I needed to do, to get back to it. So um, um, I went through 7 years, and it and I still go through certain things? I do, but when I went through it, it was 7 years. It took me to really get out of it, and I know, in a spiritual sense, 7 years is your completion, and it was amazing how that happened. It was 7 years to where it took me to finally get out of going through my mental health journey. So yeah, so I definitely am appreciative of you know um, I, what I went through, because I'm a
Mhm.
big advocate when it comes to mental health, and I think that more men should talk about mental
Mhm.
health,
Yeah.
and not shy away from it because of certain things. So as we go through, and as I go through this 6-part series, there's going to be some things that said, and I hope, my hope is that brothers get, or somebody gets something from this, and they're able to relate to something. They're able to say, man, like this right here is definitely something that I needed to hear, or I like this part, whatever, or I like this guest. But I'm intentionally bringing brothers on this series to talk about mental health, because I feel like these brothers can talk about it in their own way, So you're gonna get different perspectives on mental health. Um, so let's dive into some stuff. So four things that I kind of found out, not found out, but four things that I kind of looked at when it came to mental health. Um,
Mhm.
and those things are validate your emotions, identify
Mhm.
your support system, identify unhealthy coping mechanisms, and seek professional help. Now, the
Mhm.
first one is validate your emotions. And I was just like, you know, I put that number one because it says validate your emotions. So KJ, tell me what does that mean to you when I say validate your emotions?
Well, acknowledge how you feel. Like acknowledge how you feel. For example, I was asked for some advice the other day from a young lady. Asking advice about a situation, a relationship that was kind of going south, right? So, she was obviously quite emotional about it. So, obviously, mentally, for example, wasn't even in a good state. And you know how it is. Breakups could be hard, So, first thing I said was, Kev's laughing. First thing I said was, I don't want to discredit how you feel in this moment because we're human, right? We feel what we feel, So it's right then and there that validation became okay. It's okay that I am feeling emotional about this in this moment. But this is why I use the word moment because moment is a very important word. Because I always break it to people like this. That's 24 hours in a day, right? 24 hours in a day. Let's say you gave the situation that happened at 12 noon, right? You've heard it said where something happens to someone, they be like, man, my whole day is ruined. My whole day is off. And
Right.
I'm like,
Yep.
it's 24 hours in a day. So if it's just noon at this moment in time, you are having a bad moment right now, but it doesn't have to take your whole day, moment. But I'm validating your feelings, but I'm also after that part, the next step is to let's bring this back to focus on okay, what can we do about it? How
Mhm.
can we start to pivot in our mind on what we feel? You know what I mean? But like I said, I definitely validation is to acknowledge whatever the feeling is because if you don't acknowledge it, it's going to get worse. That
Right.
means you're being in denial, which
Right.
obviously that's not a healthy mental state of mind either. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, okay, I'm gonna just blow this dust under the rug and see if I can go. No, you're gonna have one dirty rug.
Right.
And there's gonna be a lot of sweeping,
Right.
when you do start sweeping. So why not work on it now? You know what I mean? And now within that, that's a process. Not saying it's just gonna be a quick thing, or even it doesn't even have to be like a long term thing though. Whatever that process is, short or quick, it's going to be a process. But first, you have to acknowledge what the feeling is,
Right.
especially
Okay.
men, since we don't like to talk or acknowledge.
Right. But that's the thing. Like we have to acknowledge like what's going. Like if we don't acknowledge it, then it's like we're basically saying that it's not there. We're
Hmm.
basically saying, hey, this I'm not dealing with this, and as we go on in this conversation, I'm gonna go back to that because it was something that I saw as I was looking more into men and mental health and all of that,
Hmm.
and that came up. So identify your support system, and this is a big one for me. Identifying who supports you,
Hmm.
and it can be hard because you don't know if a person is support like people will come and say, like, I remember when my mom passed and people would say, hey, um I um I'm sorry for your loss, and people just didn't know what to say. And my
Hmm.
thing is, and this is coming from me, and I want to say
Yeah.
this. I should have said this at the beginning. I am no way a mental health counselor. I am not a
Mhm.
psychologist.
Neither
Um,
am I. Yeah.
but I, again, like I said, I've been through this mental health journey, and I've learned a lot about my mental health, and I've learned a lot about mental health in general. And
Hmm.
so I speak from that perspective, and that perspective only. I don't speak as a license or anything. So I just want to put that out there because I don't want to say, oh well,
Right.
I'm speaking from my perspective of what I've been through and what I've learned on my mental health journey. But the understanding that having a support system is important because of the fact that those who support you are not going to judge you when you cry. Those
Hmm.
who support you are not going to judge you when you are not when you're not at your best some days, when you're feeling down and you just don't know what to do. They're not going to look down on you. They're going to say to themselves, he needs a minute, she needs a minute, whatever. But they're going to look at you and say, hey, I got you. And the biggest thing that someone can do is turn their back on someone who's going through, and you know that they're going through. I know certain people use it as a way to get and I saw this attention seekers, and
Hmm.
I think and that was one of the things that I saw looking at all of this. It said and it talked about how a lot of men don't talk about mental health because people are going to think that they're attention seekers. And my thing is, again, surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with people who are going to be there for you, who are not going to look at you any differently, who are going to make sure that you got what you need, and they're not going to press hard on anything, but just be there as a sounding board, be there as someone
Hmm.
that can help you. And so that's the biggest thing for me when it comes to having a support system. So, um, yeah, I mean, I can go on and on about support system, but I would say this, and then KJ, I'll let you, comment on this. But when it comes to a support system, I look at it as um, I had like for instance, KJ was a big support system for me, um, and I've shared my story, so I'm not ashamed to say like when I was going through my mental health journey, yes, I ended up in a psych ward for 5 days, and I remember that Kevin Jackson came up there and sat with me, and that showed the support. Was I ashamed? Yes, I was ashamed, but at the end of the day, as you see, almost close to 10 years later, him and I, no matter what, through thick and thin, he's still here. We're still good friends, brothers, and so the thing is that you have to realize sometimes you have to be able to pop out of your shell of
Hmm.
comfort and knowing that hey, not everyone has your back, but the people who have your back are going to be there when times get hard, when you're at your
Right.
lowest. And I was at my lowest. I just remember like it was yesterday, how I was at my lowest, and I didn't know if I could ever pull myself out. And it was a journey because Kevin Jackson and some more people were there telling me the same thing. And it was like a revolving door that I kept just going around in circles because they would tell me something and I would be like, okay, but I didn't pass the test. So I kept going
Hmm.
through and kept going through and kept going through. And so the understanding is even while I wasn't passing the test, I still had that support system. Even when I myself was not whole really um taking what people were telling me, and those who in my support system, they still were there. And that's what you want around you. You don't want anyone around you that's going to be flaky and be like, "Nah, I can't handle this." Yes. Is it hard to deal with someone that's depressed, that's dealing with mental health? Yes. But the thing is, you got somebody has to be there to support them. Somebody
Mhm.
has to be there to be able to say, "Hey, I got you," so they understand and they know that somebody is there for them. So, KJ,
Absolutely.
I'll let you comment on that.
Well, absolutely. Trust too, man. I know from my experience, especially dealing with men, they have a hard time expressing themselves. Number one, because they don't trust you. Now, me, I'm very big on reciprocation. Like I'm very big. Maybe I should adjust or change. And so that will produce trust for me. You know what I mean? This is why I put my faith so much in God, because obviously he loves me, I love him back. That relationship with the Lord, builds it, so it heightens my faith. So through faith, I feel like I can get through anything, but man to man, you know, you talk about support. I ain't number one, I'm not gonna feel very supported if I'm always showing up and no one's showing up for me. You know what I mean? This as a man who how I get convinced to express myself. You know what I mean? Now if you are, then that's easier for me because there's trust there. I can express myself based on how I see you or what our relationship actually is. You know what I mean? Which a relationship is different from someone you just talk to. You know what I mean? Obviously, and it has to be some intentionality there. You know what I mean? But and when I do trust you, and especially when I'm going through stuff for my mental health, I have to get out. It's a healthy thing for me to have a male that I trust, that I can be myself around, say my true authentic thoughts. You know what I mean? Because it's all love as well. You know what I mean? Like I'm at a comfortable state with that. Now I know I can't speak for all men because not everyone is like that. Like even for some men, I found out that it goes beyond trust to even get through those things. But I know if I sense some reciprocation, like that's easy for me. So now I have an outlet, that I can go to and get wise counsel as well, which is very important. You know what I mean? A good support system. If you choose to have one, that is, I always say, hey, make sure it's wise counsel. It's not just going to be somebody that's going to tell you what you want to hear because you got that tone in your head of how you want it to be, how you want to be receptive to what's being said, and it ain't been saying like that. So that if you don't have wise counsel, or if you reject wise counsel, it's just gonna make you mad. Because now, what he's saying, what Kev's saying is true. It's right. But because this tone in my head right now, which that tone is anger and mad and sad, and I'm going on these other paths and I just want to be there. Key phrase, I just want to. You just gonna make you mad and sad. But that I know for me, man, in that situation with you that time, man, obviously I got love for you. Obviously I do, because we wouldn't be on here talking if I did. But two,
Those are facts. Those are facts.
yeah, but two, I tell you one reason. I don't know if I ever told you that we've discussed this several times, but one of the reasons why I came down there, man, is because I loved you, and I just literally wanted you to know God loves you most of all. But just something simple and practical, just to let you know, hey, man, you can get through this, you know, and being that genuine friend, you know what I mean? Because I also know what it's like to be around people and it's just all talk and no one, you talk again, the word support, it wasn't really support, it was literally just talk from the people that said, hey, I'm your boy, we got a relationship, but when it came down to it, they showed me they didn't. You know what I mean? I know what that feels like, and it's lonely. and you left out on that. Now you like, oh shoot, man, where do I turn? So I need to find some way to figure this out. Sometimes that leads to other things, you know what I mean? But and I did not want to, I don't want to be that guy with nobody. But particularly if I was sitting there calling you my friend, my buddy, you know, this and that, heck, we were serving together, all this, like, I like, no, I'm not, I'm gonna be a hypocrite if I don't walk this out of what I'm saying. So yeah, no, that's why I came down there that night. One of the reasons.
No, and I appreciate that. Again, it definitely shows and helps you see who's there for you. I always hear it, when it comes to young boys, teenagers, and always talking about, you know, the friends that's you're hanging with on the street, and the people that have a
Mhm.
bad influence on you when you get locked up. You'll know who your true friends are,
Yeah,
because those are going to be the ones that stick by you. And
yeah.
so, for me, I look at it as I was in a bad place in my life, and the people that stuck by me are the people that still by me to this day. Um, Everybody that came to see me when I was an inpatient, we're still friends and brothers to this day. And that is appreciated, and it goes a long ways to show that these are the people that God put in your path to be able to help you.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to spend some time on that because support system is real, it's needed, and it's something that we have to continue to show people that we all need a support system. You don't need 30, 40 people, but even if you just have that one, a good one, two people, that's enough for you to have. So identify unhealthy coping mechanisms. So I'm gonna tell you this.
Ooh.
I have one, and I found out when I was in the military. One of my coping mechanisms is talking about um so how I used to cope mechanism. I would always, when someone would ask me how you doing, I would be like, I'm good, and I would
Hmm.
say it all the time, but I wasn't good. But it was a coping mechanism for me. It was a coping mechanism, and it was a defense mechanism to better help me basically tell a person to leave me alone
Hmm.
without saying leave me alone.
Right.
Um and but it was also a way to help me understand that I'm crying out for help. So, but you know, I for me, when it came to when you look at what a coping mechanism is, how do I cope with what I'm going through? For me, it was junk food. For me, it was
Hmm.
eating junk food all the time, dealing with what I was dealing with. That was the way for me to just cope. Um, and you can have good, you can have bad. But when I was looking this up, a lot of people turn to alcohol. A lot of people turn
Hmm.
to drug abuse. People turn to different
Sex.
things, yeah,
Hmm.
to cope. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, it's those things to where you start to realize that I'm doing all this because I don't want to face the truth and what
Yeah.
I'm dealing with. I don't want to admit that I'm depressed. I don't want to
Right.
admit that I got that I want to cry, that I want to just go somewhere and just deal with my feelings, because as men we're taught to not do that. And so how do I
Hmm.
cope with that? Because I don't want anyone to know what I'm going through. I don't want anyone to know that I got mental health issues. I don't want anyone to know that I tried to commit suicide the other day. I don't want anyone to know that I cried for 3 days straight. I don't want anyone to know that I'm a human being and that I
Mm-hmm.
have feelings and that
Right.
I should be able to react to anything when it comes to my mental health, because if I don't react to it in a way of saying, now when I talk about react, I'm talking about being able to show your emotions in a way of crying or letting it out or talking to someone. I don't want to show that side because I'm deemed to be weak. I don't want to show that
Mm-hmm.
side because I'm deemed to be less of a man, because now I'm talking about my feelings and I'm sharing my feelings, and that's not what we're supposed to do.
Right.
And I think that we've gotten better when it comes to that. We still got a long ways to go when it comes to men, but I think we've gotten better when it comes to that. But I had to learn that
Mm-hmm.
because one of the biggest things that I learned is, and I learned about myself is, and I would say this to you, and I'll say it to other people. I don't want to be a burden, and people
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
what you're going through, if you tell the next person, it's a burden. But I had to learn that if I'm in this with you, it's not a burden because I'm helping you, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm your brother, and I want to be there. I'm your friend. If I say I'm your brother, if I'm saying your friend, then I'm gonna be there for you through the good times and the bad times. When you low
Mm-hmm.
and when you high, I'm still gonna be there for you. But it's up
Mm-hmm.
to the individual to say, "Hey, I'm going to talk to you, and I want to be able to express what I need to express without holding back." And
Yeah.
sometimes we hold back because we don't know what the other individual is going to say, how they're going to react, how they're going to respond, whether they're going to do when I tell them, "Hey, I'm depressed. Hey, I just want to cry. I just need to vent to you." But then
Mm-hmm.
the person that they're venting to reacts like, I don't do that. Or they react and they say, "Man, I'm sorry you're going through that, man, but that's a lot. I'm going through some stuff myself." Got it. And I understand that part of it. But I
Mm-hmm.
would say this, that at the end of the day, we have to be able to know that we have that support system, and two, we have to be able to know that um, that we our coping mechanism shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
something that's negative. Our coping mechanism should be, how do I deal with this in a way that is not going to be um, at that point is going to be an addiction, because now I've turned something that I'm trying to cope with into an addiction. And now you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with depression and you're dealing with an addiction. And so now you
Mm-hmm.
got a double whammy, because now you're trying to understand, how in the world did I get here? I
Right.
went from just being depressed, and now I got an addiction, and now I'm addicted to drugs, or I'm addicted to alcohol, and now I'm feeling like, how can I get myself to a point to where now I got to deal with both? And
Mm-hmm.
so when it comes to that, we really have to understand that when you have that coping mechanism, that is something that's going to help you along the way, that's going
Right.
to help you cope, that is a temporary fix, not a permanent, or something
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to steer you off course. Because getting addicted to drugs, getting addicted to alcohol, one, it lowers your what's the word I'm looking for when you drink alcohol? It lowers your I can't think of the word, but it lowers your whole way of how you think and how you move when it comes to alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
because you start drinking
Mm-hmm.
early in the morning because
Mm-hmm.
you're depressed, and that's the only way for you to cope and make it through the day is, oh, I gotta drink.
Right.
I'm drinking at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm drinking at noon. I'm drinking at 5 o'clock in the evening. I'm drinking at 10 o'clock at night. Go to sleep and I start it back over again. That's my coping mechanism. But is it a good coping mechanism? And it's not, because
Right.
now you're dealing with alcoholism, and now
Mm-hmm.
you still have not tackled the
Yeah.
depression. So
Right.
now you're dealing with two big things, and you're trying to figure out, how do I now come out? Because I'm in
Mm-hmm.
worse shape that I
Yeah.
was in when I first went into my depression mode. And so we
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to understand and recognize that before it gets to that point.
Right.
And that's where the support system comes in, because the people who support you, who know you, and hear me when I say this, anybody who will see this, and going forward, days from now. But when I say know you, I'm talking about capital KNOW,
Yeah.
really knows you and
Yeah.
understands the fact that no matter what, I know that something's wrong with you, because I can look at you and tell something's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you move, the way that you present yourself, the way that you talk, I know that something's off with you, because we have a relationship, because I'm part of your support system. And now
Right.
I'm able to recognize that you have a problem, and recognize that I need to step in and say something. Are you going to like what
Mm-hmm.
I got to say? No. I'm going to give you a perfect example. And I hope he sees this, but he has definitely been inspiration to me, and definitely been a mentor to me. Um, even though he's not a Cowboys fan no more, but
No, man.
I still love him to the same. Um, so one of the pastors at our church, Pastor Travis, he has been there for me through thick and thin. He was the first person that I talked to when I joined my church in 2016, and he has been there through all of my mental health battles. And I just remember him always being that guy that supported me and looked at me, even when I went impatient. And I remember I was mad at him, because he was the one who basically gave the doctor
Yeah.
the go ahead to
Mm-hmm.
leave me there.
Put him up in there.
But
Yeah.
but I remember at the time I was mad, because again, I was depressed and I didn't want to stay here. I thought, oh, well, this is gonna be easy. I got church members, they're gonna take me and bring me out, and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna be done with it. But I remember when the psychiatrist said it's up to basically them, because I was gonna be released to them. They said no, he needs to stay here. Was I
Mm-hmm.
mad? I was mad. I was furious. But at the end of the day, I understood this, that with your support system, sometimes the choices that have to be made are not easy choices. The
Mm-hmm.
choices that have to be made are not going to be choices that you like all the time. But the choices that they make for you are because of having your best interest at heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so he had my best interest. Could I see it at the time? I could not.
Right.
Did I understand it? I did not. But when I
Mm-hmm.
came out of it on the other side, I went to him man to man and I said, I thank you. Because
Right.
if it wasn't for you saying, I think you need to do this and push it, I don't know what and where I would be, but I thank him for what he did and how he
Right.
did it. And so for me, it was definitely something that I needed. And so I just wanted to say that, because again, when we talk about this and we talk about that support system, and we talk about doing those things to help you, coping mechanisms, going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I
Yeah.
went through
That's a big one.
right, and when I went through it, and I understood, even going through the coping mechanism for um, not going to church. Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to church for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, Pastor Travis always still was there. He called
Mm-hmm.
me, he checked on me. He was always there, making sure that I was good. And that's the type of support system that anybody would love to have,
Yeah.
because he never turned his back on me. And knowing him for almost almost the exact same time I've known you, for almost 10 years now, like he's still been that brother to me. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to understand that sometimes people have to make the hard choices, but at the end of the day, those hard choices we will reflect upon and look and say that these are the things that were needed in order for us to be able to, move on in this journey. So I need to say that, but go ahead,
Yeah.
JJ.
No, no, you're exactly right, man. Coping mechanisms are big, especially when they're not healthy. You know what I mean? Which you're gonna create a problem. You use the word addiction. You use the word, self-reliant, basically. On those things. Where I always say this. First, you got to give yourself some grace. You got to give yourself some grace. Again, this is another part of that whole validation piece of what you are feeling in this moment or at this time or about the situation, right? Then you have to realize that, the Bible talks about how we should carry each other's burdens. Now, doesn't say bring the people's problem home with you. It says carry each other's burdens, right? In a helping way. That's with that agape love. That's with that wise counsel. That's with that, hey, I'm gonna be that good support system, that foundation that you need to steer you in the right direction, to have your best interests at heart, right? Because at the end of the day, we want you healed, we want you healthy. You also got to lean on those affirmations, right? There's two different types of affirmations. There's affirmations from the enemy, and there's affirmations from the Lord. Within that grace and within that support system that's around you, you got to understand too, hey, they are showing you grace too. This is why we should not assume what a person is going to react like when we don't even know. Now, I get it. That assumption is easy to do, especially when we don't know, because we can think, man, this person's going to respond like this when I say this. But you kind of throw away the relationship. If you look at it, even if I'm going through my mess, I can't throw away 10 years of friendship of when this person through thick and thin has been there for me regardless. So why in this moment I'm thinking different? Again, going back to that word I used earlier, logic. You know what I mean? I have to try to roll myself back to the bottom line of logic here. What or who has this person been to me? You know what I mean? So I can't assume from an awareness standpoint that it's finna be any different. Now, what if it is? Because you kind of used an example earlier, like you say something and then someone does react in that situation. You know what it is. When we talking about a reason, time, season, all of those kinds of things for things to happen or whatever, I believe, and this is just what I believe God has ordained someone for you to cross paths to in every divine moment and for every divine situation in time. And maybe this isn't for this person to help me with, but this person is. So therefore, there's a little bit of patience that I had to have as well, in my thought process. But I'm also, again, those positive affirmations that I'm needing to listen on. I gotta try my very best to lean on these in way of or in waiting of that divine help that I know the Lord, that I have faith in the Lord is sending. You know what I mean? That's going to help me be able to speak exactly to the situation that I'm going through in the way that I need it. And it doesn't mean that this other person I was trying to tell was being mean or, not right for the situation or not a good friend. They just were not for that moment in time in that situation. So I got to see it like that or try my best to see it like that, which can be tough. But this is why I use the word like logic. This is why I use the words like moment. What is it in this moment? What is my processes of affirmations that I'm listening to? I got to have enough faith to cast these negative affirmations down, because active listening is a, you know how you tell somebody something and they just shaking their head like this, and they look like they active listening. They look like they actively knowing what you're saying, and then you ask them repeat it. They can't repeat nothing you said. They can't go and apply no instruction that you instructed them with. But they was doing this the whole time. Some people will even write it. Yeah, Kev, I got you. And then you look for the fruit or see if they was actually going to do what you instructed them to do. Nothing. Zero, right? Active listening is also application. The only way I know that you truly listen to me, especially if it's instruction or advice, is the application piece, right? And that's another part I think that is good to understand, especially men too, on mental health thing. Hey, I can actively listen to a negative affirmation from the enemy. Ooh, shoot, now I'm in more of a stuck corner. I can I actively listen to what God tells me who I am and how he's trying to make me more aware of who I am and what he put in me and how he has a plan for me, how he loves me, how he has a purpose for me, right? Whose voice do you want to tone out? Well, I tell you what, because that negative mountain is so easy to get on. That's why it's so piled a mile high. So obviously, whose voice are we toning out? We're toning out God's voice when we should be toning out the enemy's voice. But again, that's why I said that whole concept of we have a tone in our head. We have a tone in our head because we can't get past the moment of what we're feeling, how we're feeling, and not neglecting that I am sad, I'm depressed right now in this moment. But at the same time, I can find a way not to choose to keep going in that path, right? This is also why, especially for men outside of that support, man, it is not a popular thing for men to go seek counseling because you said the word weak earlier. It's considered weak. I've grown to learn in all my years of living, especially this biblical principle in Romans, as we all know, especially if you go to church consistently, you all know the scripture of do not conform to this world. And the idealistic things of what this or that is supposed to be according to man's standards. We must remember we're made in the image of God and Jesus. We're made in their likeness. We should be walking out a life according to how they scripted it, right? So therefore, why am I going to put all my stock into, hey, this man is going to look at me weak because I'm going to see counseling? I go counseling even when nothing isn't wrong because I just want to be proactive and have tools to use when something may come to my lap. You know what I mean? Like that's a healthy thing to do. We go and lift weights. We go and pump iron. We go and play sports, and we call those things healthy and not weak. Why are we calling this weak? You know what I mean? Why are we calling crying weak? You know what I mean? Again, those are worldly things. We can go down the whole Bible and look at a list of names of people or men who showed their emotions. If you look at the prophet Elijah, as great of a prophet and a man of God as Elijah was, what Elijah's story? He had sitting underneath a tree, literally almost begging the Lord to take him out. He wants to die. You're like, oh, what? Not powerful Elijah. Not Elijah who prophesied that the rain is gonna come. Not Elijah who prayed fire down from heaven. Not that Elijah. Not Elijah who God worked through him to raise a young boy from the dead. Like not Elijah. All these things. But yet he was still in a moment of despair and was, hey, Lord, kill me now. Right? Was that weak? No. That is real. That's being real And that's being aware of what he's feeling like and what he's going through in that moment. That's the other point I want to make too, the awareness piece. Men, we have to be more aware of, number one, our personality, our do's and don'ts. You was talking about coping mechanisms, what we subject need to stay away from when these things happen. Like, we got to be more aware of ourselves. I don't think we're aware of ourselves enough. You know what I mean? What ticks us off? What motivates us? What gets us going in a good direction? Because those are also some things that could mess with you mentally if you're not very aware of who you are, how you move, how you navigate this thing we call life. You know, so that's a big piece for sure. Like being aware, because because you're aware of who you are, all of those different things about you too, that'll help identify who is that good support system. You know what I mean? Like me, for example, I jokingly say I don't like a bunch of yes men around me because I don't trust you. If I sit over there and say, Kev, the sky is purple, and you be like, you know what, KJ, boy, that sky surely is purple, and you can clearly look out your window and see that it's blue. Like, you know what I mean? But
Right,
you agreeing with me. You know
right,
what I mean? Now we
right.
both got problems. You know what I mean? We both got problems. I'm gonna be like, you know what, Kev, what you want, man? I don't even trust you. You know clearly that sky is not purple, it's blue, bro. Now I need you to do the reversal. I need if I say, Kev, that sky is purple, and you look out, you know what, KJ. So I mean this in love, brother. You just said the sky is purple. No, it's blue. Look out the window yourself, brother. It's blue. You know what I mean? That's true. That support system I know I need because I'm aware that I do value honesty, even if it hurts. That's me. That's a me thing. That's a Kevin Jackson thing. I value it. You know what I mean? So those things I embrace because I'm aware of what I value. Now, say for example, if I'm aware of myself being a little sensitive, I'm gonna get mad because you told me the truth that the sky is blue and not purple, right? I'm gonna get a little offensive. Then guess what? When I really am going through some stuff, or when what these kids say today, bugging out, tripping out, whatever it is, guess what? I ain't gonna come and tell you because now we got trust thing. You know what I mean? So men could get into these little stuck places like that, but again, this is why you need to be aware because don't go out and express things you probably don't want the reality of a response back to you. You know what I mean? But be more aware of how you want people to support you in a sense of that's healthy, but that's honest and real as well. So, that's my take on a lot of those things that you pointed out.
Okay. Um. So, man, I didn't even get to a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, but that's cool. Um. So the last thing we'll talk about is seek professional health. Now, I'm gonna say this about this. Now, um I had my doubts when it came to seeking professional help. Now, I
Mhm.
will say, and I've heard this in our church before, and I've heard this plenty of times lately, and then in the past years, I've heard that a lot of people say, "Hey, I got a pastor. That's my therapist." But sometimes, even a pastor will say, "You need to go and seek professional help." Like I feel like we have looked at, and yes, our pastor is those who are in that role. We seek all of that from them, but sometimes they will say that you need to actually go to someone who has a degree in this field, who can actually um, help you, because I wasn't trained in this. I was trained, to do certain things, but when it comes to seeking a profession. And even pastors say, I'm seeing a therapist. So if I'm seeing a therapist and you seeing me, then make it make sense, okay? Because if I'm the pastor and you're saying that you're seeing me as a therapist, I'm not a therapist, I'm a pastor. But at the same time, I'm telling you that I'm seeing a therapist. So that means I need you to go and see a therapist. It's okay. It is not nothing's wrong with going to see a therapist. Nothing's wrong with going to see someone who is like actually can help you, actually got a degree in this field, actually got the clinical studies in that field, can help you with your depression, with your anxiety journey. But we have to understand that, and so for me, seeking help when it comes to actually talking to somebody was a big thing for me. And I'm I'm very picky. So I remember when I had my first mental health therapist. She was a psychologist, and when I was still in the military, and I remember when I got out, I was like, man, I gotta find. For me, I was looking at it as it's like trying to find a new barber. Like you shopping around, you're like, no, I'm not feeling this. And then you go to the next one, and it's like you're trying to find that one that's going to, just like when you get that haircut, you pop out and you're like, man, I'm fresh. Like, yeah. But it's the same thing when it comes to a therapist, someone who's going to really truly make you feel like they're listening to you, that they have your best interests, and they're not just trying to get money. That they really want to help you get to a point to where you are um, able to move. And I always say this to people when it comes to mental health. Everyone's mental health is different because everyone goes through different things that makes them have to, well, not have to, but they go through this thing of depression. But there's no time frame when it comes to being depressed. There's no time frame when it comes to having anxiety and nothing like that. But the thing is at some point you have to say to yourself, man, I need help. But that's the hardest thing for a man to do, is to say that I need help. It's to come out and say, man, I need help. Like I get it. I don't want anyone to know. Like, I'm a private person. I'm a very private person. But at some point, when you see that what you're doing is not working, you're going to have to say, I need help. Whatever you're saying to yourself and saying, I'm going to get through this. If you're thinking that you can get through it on your own, and you're not asking for any type of help, and you're just there and you're making it on your own, and you're trying to get it done on your own. But the thing is that I've learned, you got to have somebody. You God put people in your life for a reason. And if it was that, like that, what's that movie with Will Smith where he was alone and just walking, and everyone was gone. My thing is, do you want to be in a world where you're alone, or do you want to be in a world where you have people that's there to support you, that's there to help you, that's there to not always sympathize, but even empathize with you, to say, I got you. One of the things that we say in the military is, I got your six, meaning that I'm watching your back. So I'm there for you through thick and thin. I'm there for you when you're going through. I'm there for you when it seems like everything around you is seeming like it's closing in on you, but I'm there for you. And so we have to come to an understanding that as a man, I need help. but we have to be able to say the words. We can't just think it here because people don't know what we're thinking. But we got to be able to say it with our mouths and be able to express it. And if somebody be like, man, and make fun of you, move on because they're showing you who they are. Like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, trust them, believe them, because at the end of the day, they're showing you who they are, and you can't see yourself being this person, being that person to be part of your support system. One of the things that I've always done, going through this mental health journey, I'll tell you bits and pieces of certain things. And when I tell you those things, and I will see your reaction. And when I see your reaction, it's like, and that gives me a kind of a knowing, a tale of what's going on. So, I for me, I kind of start to understand and know who can be part of my support system. And it's okay if you think that the person that should be part of your support system is not. It's okay, because not everybody is going to go on this mental health journey with you. But you got to be okay with that. Don't pull somebody alone that's not supposed to be on the journey with you, because it's going to make it that much harder, because they're going to say stuff to you that's not going to be beneficial for you, but it's going to hurt you, because along the way they're going to say things that's going to hurt you and not help you. So watch out who you pull and who's in your support system, your circle, as you go through your mental health journey, because not everybody is for you. People will use your own mental health against you at the right time that they try to attack you. And again, and I go on spiritual side, the enemy will send people to be able to disguise themselves, to be able to have you in a place that you're not even thinking, because you're so depressed that you're not even realizing that the person next to you is trying to hurt you. So what I'm saying about all of this is be careful, but at the same time understand that you need people in your life, and understand that at the end of the day you need to have a therapist. And it's okay to say, I'm in therapy. It's okay to say, I need help. I need help. I wish we could just do exercises for people to just say those three words. I need help. And not be so afraid to say those three words. I wonder, and KJ, I'm gonna let you speak. I wonder how many people that have faced depression, have been through depression, some people that are no longer here, if they could have said those three words, I need help. I need help. And is it hard? Yes. It was hard for me to say that I need help. It was hard for me to even look anybody in the face and say, I need help. As a man, you feel like you're losing a part of yourself because you're saying, I need help. And as a man, you're supposed to be the one to be able to help people. But sometimes we have to get out of this strong, like I have to be strong for everyone all the time. And we have to get into this mentality that sometimes I need help. And I'll say this last thing. When people say that this person is strong because it looks like they're not going through nothing, I always say this: the person that smiles, you never know what's behind that smile, and you never know what they're going through, and you never understand the truth of the weight of the world on them. So don't just automatically have this conclusion that a person that you feel like is not going through something, they're actually going through something, and they might be the one seeing a therapist. And so we all got to remember that going forward. So go ahead, KJ. Oh, I lost you, KJ. I can't even hear you. See, you got something good to say, and the devil don't want you to say it.
You hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Oh, there I go. Now, that's why I use the word assumption, because that the word assumption goes both ways. The person who's struggling can't assume this person is gonna react like this until you find out. But the person who is, well, leaning to be a part of the support can't assume either. It works both ways. But I also, with this, as far as being careful and saying I need help, this is why I tell people maturity or maturing is an ongoing process. People look at people, oh, you 60 years old, you must be mature. Well, no, I've seen 70-year-olds that ain't very mature, you know what I mean? So that ain't nothing but a number. Maturity, if you choose to, is an ongoing thing. First of all, let's look at science. Science says, from a neuro perspective, in the brain, your cervical area, which is the front of your brain, males specifically, don't even really start maturing until about the age of 25. Females, it happens in their brains quicker. You know what I mean? That is your frontal lobe part of your brain, right? So, with that being said, especially in men, if you don't even start it really until about the age of 25, why wouldn't you think it is ongoing? So, you may be mature in one area over the other, but in some areas you may not be very mature. And how do you get mature? Again, being aware of yourself personality wise, also, and what you need or don't need or prefer or not prefer, but also too getting educated about what your situation is. What are you going through? If it's anxiety, what anxiety? What kind of anxiety? Why are you having it? If it's night sweats, for example, why are you having it? If it's depression, what kind of depression? Is it chemical imbalance, whatever the case is, like get educated about it. That's another way to mature in those areas. I know for me, stuff I go through, honestly, and this is, first of all, I give it to God and I pray. That's always going to be number one. You know what I mean? Because that's my foundation. Because He's the ultimate healer. He's the Lord is the ultimate source, right? I need to be plugged into that ultimate source because, again, my relationship with Him got to give you divine revelation on how you should navigate what you're going through, right? So that's got to be number one. But number two, again, I have to be aware of myself. Who am I? What does Kevin? Why does he see these things the way he see it? What do I like? What do I don't like? What's my preferences? You know what I mean? How is conversations with me like? All of those kinds of things. And then three, let me educate myself on what I'm feeling. So guess what? Kevin Jackson finna go Google. If I go to the library, let me find a book on that. Let me read about what I feel like this may be. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. Now I know about it because you can't fight against or pray against or whatever you need to do with something that you don't know about or you can't put a title on it. You can't identify it, right? So this is why I'm saying this is an area you can mature in, and how you can get mature. The more you know about something, the more mature you can get about how to handle it. And then lastly, okay, cool. I'm gonna go seek the help because I've learned about what I'm going through. Hey, I need help. That help is either gonna be from my whoever my support system is or professionally, especially if I need to go there. You know what I mean? But it's something that you said a little while ago too. Is it's like a barbershop. You try this one, and I ain't going this one. You try that one. I don't see nothing wrong with that. You have to find what works best for you. You know what I mean? What makes you comfortable in that sense to talk? You know what I mean? Same with your support system. You know what I mean? This brother over here may be a good brother to talk to and lean on or whatever, but for whatever reason, I'm not comfortable with sharing. But I am with him for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that you and this person ain't friends over here. It's just again back to my point of why I was making like sometimes you gotta have people in your life that they can be able to speak to exactly the thing in that moment that will help you. You know what I mean? And light a fire inside of you that the enemy can't extinguish. That awaking something that is dormant inside of you that you need to know or learn about, especially about yourself, that will cause you to pivot. Because sometimes people don't change or don't want to find solutions to what they're going through, especially men, because they're not tired enough of it yet. You may be tired, but you ain't tired enough of it. Because I know what do people normally do? What's their first reaction when they tired enough? They do something about it. That desperation gets turned all the way up, and now they going in. But when you just tired and you're not tired enough of it, what you do? You tolerate it. You acknowledge that, man, I'm going through this cycle, and then you stay in the cycle because you never. 'Cause, I mean, you're tolerating it. You have become compliant to the issue, and some people become compliant to a moment that turns into an issue. That's why I'll keep using that word moment because me, man, this lady asked me this after church one day, man. She was like, Kevin, man, it looks like you just always got a joy. You joyful, you happy, all of these things. Do you ever go through things? Like, I'm like, wow. First of all, I was honest, I'm be 100 honest. I was a little put off because how are you just going to assume that everything with me is Gucci and gold just because I'm smiling? Which one could choose to. I can make a conscious decision. So every time you see me, I smile and I choose joy. You know what I mean? Which ain't nothing wrong with that. That's not being fake. This is just what I'm choosing to do because I don't want to dwell on my issue. I don't want my issue to become something I get addicted to, something I have to depend on or lean on, something that the enemy may want to use to tell me I'm never coming out of. I'm always gonna be this, right? So I choose to. So I had to get over that for a second when she was saying, "Cause you look, you never go through nothing." So again, me as a man, you know what I mean. What's three areas the enemy tests you in? Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and pride, right? So now pride was trying to rise up when this lady asked me this, and I'm like, man. So I had to come off of being kind of put off and really listen to what path she's going with this. She asking me for a reason. She asked because obviously she sees something in me that she desired to maybe learn about or how maybe she could use joy. So I started to look at it this way. So this is what I told her. I said, I do go through things. I go through a lot of things. I go through a lot of hard things. But number one, regardless of what I'm going through, I believe and I have faith that God is going to see me through. He's going to show me exactly what I need to do. He's going to give me the capacity to handle it, right? That's like my first thought. Even though it's hard too, and I may cry, it may weaken me, you know what I mean? But I rely on God's affirmations, but I also told her this. I say my biggest thing, and this is gonna sound so practical, but true, and it helps me think of how the situation that I may be going through, how I need to uh not let it go on. I said I may get concerned, but I don't let concern turn into worry, because worry will turn into this is an issue and is becoming a title of something that it may not even be, right? So I keep it at concern, and then I start to fight concern. I start to fight concern with prayer. And then that maturity aspect I'm telling you, I told you about earlier, which is one way to get mature in this area. I start to become knowledgeable about what am I feeling or going through in this moment. Even if it's a relationship. Oh, I may be having heated fellowship with my spouse. Okay, cool. Let me go get educated about relationships here. Why do people quarrel with each other when they're in the marriage or when they're just girlfriend and boyfriend? You know what I mean? All of these kinds of things, because I'm gonna find something that is relatable to me according to what I'm going through, particularly, right? So once I do that, now I put a label on it. Now I can identify what I'm having trouble with. Now I can start the process with how am I going to find the solution? Because that was my other thought. There's a solution to this. There's a solution to this. I can pray God to help me, but I know He also may send someone and work through them, or that counselor you talking about may work through them. But again, it's gonna be somebody too that I'm comfortable with, though. You know what I mean? I ain't just, old Kev ain't finna just drop it on anybody. Just no. Again, I talked about trust earlier. You know what I mean? But those are the things for me, man. That's kind of the processes that I know me personally I go through. But when I'm talking to other people, I kind of advise them of such, identifying the problem first after you being aware of who you are, what makes you go, what makes you sad, what makes you happy, what makes you joyful, all of those personality trying to kind of trait things, and then getting educated about exactly your situation. Find the examples of, okay, who's been through this, who has not. Okay, what do professionals say about it? It may be an article, it may be a podcast, it may be a book, whatever it is. Learn about what you're going through, and then obviously, give it to God, but also too getting to that place where you can be comfortable. Now here comes the sharing. You know what I mean? And through those first couple of processes, you already may be healing, but the sharing part helps keeps it out, and it helps build that confidence going forward too, because now you got someone to kind of go through the journey with you, or people, maybe not just one person but maybe multiple people that go through the journey with you. Now that accountability piece comes into play. You know what I mean? But again, if you don't like accountability, again, that awareness piece, you better deal with that first before you go to your support system that's going to give you accountability. So those are some processes, I want to encourage men, especially men, to go through. But you got to get over that pride thing though, for sure. Because sometimes, man, that pride can put us in a stuck place to where none of those things are going to work because we won't see them.
Right. Man, you were so deep. What a word that I wrote down that you said is worry.
Hmm.
And I think that's a big word for us as men, because we're always worrying about our family. We're always worrying how we're
Hmm.
gonna pay this and pay that. And it can mess with you mentally.
Oh yeah.
It can mess with you in so many ways that you don't even realize. That one word can really mess you up, because
Hmm.
it can mess with your depression. Now I'm depressed because now I'm worried. How am I going to make sure that my daughter is able to go to prom? How am I going to make
Hmm.
sure that I have food to eat and
Yep.
a house for my family? So I'm worrying about all these things, and at some point you continue to worry, it leads into that depression mode,
Hmm.
and now you're still worried,
Yeah.
and now you're depressed. And when that
Hmm.
depression comes along, now you're trying to figure out, I still got this problem and his issue about what I worried about. Now I'm
Hmm.
dealing with depression, and now me thinking and saying, okay, I need to probably work overtime
Yeah.
to be able
Hmm.
to get what I need for my daughter's prom. But because I'm depressed, I'm
Hmm.
not gonna do it.
Nope. No, you're not.
So the mind, and this is why for those of you who don't know, Kevin Jackson is a big person that loves the mind and how the mind works, and that's why I wanted him, and that's why that I'm so glad how things work themselves out to this one-on-one conversation with him and I, because I know that the mind is something that he loves to talk about,
Hmm.
and how the mind works, and worrying all the time can lead to so many other things like
Hmm.
health issues, because stress, it can lead to so many other things. And now you're going to make me think about doing a podcast just on that.
Yeah.
um, it's something that definitely needs to be talked about. That's what happens. I get guests and they start giving me more ideas on more
Hmm.
topics to talk about, but um, it's amazing how that messes with your mind for you
Hmm.
to get and become depressed. Man, we could talk all night. I didn't realize that we've been talking for so long.
Yeah.
It's so much to unpack when we talk about why mental health matters. This is just again part one of a 6-part series that I'm looking forward to talking with other men, brothers of mine. I'm gonna have my own, I call everybody my brother, but my own biological brother is
Yeah.
going to be on the show next week. So I'm looking forward to that. I always definitely enjoy having my own brother on there because he probably knows me a lot better of, stuff that I went through in my childhood, and him actually being in the mental health field,
Hmm.
and all of that. He definitely can talk on that, and speak on it, just from, even things that you went through in your childhood. So I'm looking forward to that. KJ, I'm gonna let you have final thoughts, and then we'll go from there. So
Yeah,
give me a
my
sec.
mhm.
Go ahead, KJ.
Oh yeah. I mean, final thoughts for me. I just want to encourage every man, or everybody in general, man. If you are struggling mental health wise, listen, it's okay to say you need help. Find some people you can trust. Get the help you can need. Get the professional help you need. But also, at the end of the day, lean on God's affirmations about who He says that you are, because it starts there. He's your beginning and your end. He's the ultimate source. So, and just also remember too, if you don't take care of the mind, the physical things, you can forget about it. It starts here. The application part, which produces the action, it starts up here. So this has to be clear. This has to be, built on faith. This has to be built on a structure of belief system. Again, tied to the Lord, for you to be able to navigate the life that you need to navigate in a healthy way, and get that support system around you that you need, that's going to lift you up and point you and keep you accountable during that pathway that the Lord will have you on. So transform yourself in that mindset, but allow God to do it. Don't let the world do it. So those are my final thoughts for all of you that are listening. I appreciate it. I enjoyed this talk, man. I feel like I was just warming up, getting into it. So this was great, man. I hope that everybody who was listening got some nuggets.
Sir, I appreciate you more than you know. I definitely look forward to what's going to come out of this series. I don't know. I'm just being obedient because, again, I'm a big mental health advocate, and I believe sometimes um, these conversations are needed amongst
Mm-hmm.
men, and in a larger platform, not just in a a room where people feel comfortable, but sometimes you need to be able to take it on to a bigger level. So I hope that as people listen, as people share this part one of the six-part series, that they are able to basically understand that mental health does matter for men.
Mm-hmm.
That mental health is a big proponent of what men go through, because
Yes.
it's the mental side of what a person goes through, and it's the side of being able to get up in the day every day and say today's going to be a good day, and telling yourself that,
Mm-hmm.
not just saying it but believing that every day that you get up is going to be a good day. Is every day going to be easy? No. Is every day you wake up, is it going to be a day to where you don't have to worry about anything? No, because
Right.
we are in this life to go through the ups and downs. But the thing is, when we go through those times of being down, we learn our lessons, and we learn how to navigate, and we learn how to become better people, and we learn things about ourselves that we didn't
Right.
know. And
Yeah.
sometimes it takes us going through things to help us navigate and get to where we needed to be. I would say this. I always say I'm a mental health advocate. I would never thought in a million years that I would be where I'm at today,
Mm-hmm.
talking about mental health, as I went through my own mental health journey for 7 years, and
Yeah.
suicide, and as we go through this series, I'll talk and share some more, but just realizing that God had to show me all this mental health stuff for me to be able to get to a point to where I'm at now, and for me to realize that what I want to do, and actually what I'm getting my master's in, is counseling for mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And who knew
Awesome. Awesome.
that going through all of this, it made me realize my um, just something that I wanted to do, and something that I feel like was birthed in me. But when you're born, you have to go through those bruises in order for you to
Mm-hmm.
grow up, and learn and understand some things. And I have, and I continue to learn. So I appreciate you, KJ. I appreciate this conversation. Um, I never know how long these conversations are going to go, so I try not to tell my guests that it's going to be an hour, because sometimes, hey, if we're in the conversation, I don't want to break it, but I definitely want to make sure that we get the information, and people say what's on their heart, and what's been led for them to say. So thank you,
Yeah.
um, Kevin, for just being obedient, and being a vessel, and being someone that's always been a great guest on my podcast. So I appreciate you for just coming on the show. So again, this is a six-part series talking about why mental health matters for men. Join me next week, same time, at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. On time, we will dive into part two. I'm looking forward to next week, because I have three more brothers. One of 'em my biological brother, but I have three more guys that are going to come, three more men that are going to come and talk about mental health from their perspective. I'm looking forward to it, as they all are in different fields, and they all know and have been through some type of mental health, or have been around, or family member has been around mental health. So I'm looking forward to being able to talk to them, and have another conversation and dive deeper when we're talking about why mental health matters for men. So until then, you all have a great one. And I will see you on next Tuesday. Be blessed. Talk to you all later.
Yes, sir.